Good evening and welcome to Vantage Point. On tonight's program, we hope to discuss a plethora of issues ranging from a post-mortem of the unrest in Valley area, if you will, to the current turmoil in Egypt. And joining us, as usual, is Dr. Dayan Jayatilleka. Dr. Jayatilleka, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Good evening.
I'd like to start straight away with the unrest in Valley area. Now, we've seen that, we are being told that it has all been finalized, that the people are being given clean drinking water, but we are yet to see any in terms of progress in the investigations. Various committees have been involved, have been appointed to investigate this. We're seeing various other measures that are also being taken, but we are yet to see anyone promising any kind of punitive measures for those who are responsible. I mean, 3 people are dead. What is your take on this, Dr. Jayatilleka?
Well, Najim, my dad used to show me a game called, it's called 3-card Monte. It's known as the 3-card trick. There's a singular colloquialism for it, but I won't mention that. But anyway, the trick is you switch the cards, so it's very difficult to keep your eye on what the card is, and then you turn it up and it's the wrong card. Right now, that's what is happening about Valley area.
So you're comparing these 3 cards to the multitude of committees that have been appointed to investigate it?
To the switching of the main issue. Right. There was an issue of drinking water and there remains one, and that has to be addressed. But right now, that is not the main issue. The main issue is that 3 unarmed people, at least, were killed. 2 by gunfire and 1 by having his head bashed in. So these are killings, possibly murders. That's the main issue. There has to be a transparent investigation. Justice has to be done and has to be seen to be done. I don't see much progress on that. I do see an army inquiry, which is a good thing. Any army in the world has to investigate the conduct of its soldiers. What I do not understand is why the army seems to have asked citizens in the Valley Ratapasala area to come in and give statements, whether it's to the army camps or the police station. It is not the business of the army to ask civilians to come forward and give statements.
Do you think
they're not under martial law?
Do you think that it's an attempt to intimidate? Is that what it is?
Well, I don't know. It could be, but it's certainly stepping outside the constitutional and legal boundaries. The army must know the limits of its role in a functioning democracy. Unless, of course, we say this is not a functioning democracy and we have creeping martial law. Now, if so, somebody is to say it. But if not, there has to be a very clear understanding of the circumscribed sphere of influence and activity of the armed forces. Now, journalists' associations have complained that they've been asked by the army and citizens have been asked by the army to come forward and give statements. Now, if that is true, if it is not true, it has to have been contradicted by now, or it should be. But if it is true, it's very serious. It's a serious infringement. It's a serious straying outside the boundaries of what the army can and cannot do. Now, it must investigate its soldiers. This has to be done. But there must also be an independent investigation. This has been called for by
an independent investigation, ideally would be carried out by, I suppose, the main player in that would be the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission. But we haven't seen any residents or citizens being called to the Human Rights Commission thus far to give statements to the Commission. I mean, they are the independent so-called investigators.
Well, Najim, I really don't know how independent a Human Rights Commission in any country can be when one of the commissioners, certainly the most high-profile commissioner, is also a member of the faculty of the sole defense university we have in Sri Lanka. There's a clear conflict of interest. I mean, he's probably quite a decent chap. I mean, and I don't doubt his sincerity. I have no reason to doubt his sincerity. But You cannot have interlocking directorates. I mean, you can't have somebody who's on the faculty of the Kotalawala Defense University, which I presume, comes under the MOD, who is also a member of the Human Rights Commission, which has to investigate a complaint of shooting, possibly, probably, by the same military. I mean, this is a contradiction. A Human Rights Commission must have credibility. There are ratings for Human Rights Commissions, by the way. I don't know whether people who make decisions here know that. But our Human Rights Commission has been downgraded by Geneva in terms of its independence. It was once a credible Human Rights Commission. It had outstanding people, independent people, people who did not have other governmental or statal associations. But that's not the case today. So one wonders whether our National Human Rights Commission has what it takes to do this investigation. I would have said that given the gravity of what happened in Balivaria, there should have been a one-person presidential investigation, a commissioner, high-powered, highly able and recognized internationally. I mean, there are people who have.
I mean, sure, there are plenty of individuals that you could have for a one-member committee, an empowered committee, maybe
Absolutely.
even a presidential commission.
Yeah.
But see, if you look at our history, even with such commission. For example, let's take the Valikada prison, the prison riots in Valikada, the prison crashes of November last year. It's more than 9 months and 2 days later. It's 9 months and 2 weeks now. There's still no report, no interim report, and that was supposed to be given in 3 weeks. In July, you had the Minister of Prison Reforms, Chandasiri Gajadera, saying in Parliament that they were expecting the report in July or possibly the next month. But 9 months and 2 weeks later, there's still nothing.
27 people died.
Exactly.
All of them on one side of the barricades, as it were. 27. Usually,
we also had injuries on the other side.
Injuries, yes, but not lethal.
See, this is
not fatal injuries.
But then
27 deaths.
Yeah, but then we come to question the sincerity with this investigation is being undertaken as well, because I remember shortly after the incident at Valikada, the Human Rights Envoy, Minister Mahinda Samarasinha, held a media briefing. Of course, it was not regarding Valikada, it was post-Geneva, with the current Chief Justice, Mohan Piris, who was the Cabinet Legal Advisor at the time. And I very distinctly remember the current Chief Justice, Mohan Piris, saying 27 is a drop in the ocean. So it's very serious, because you begin to doubt how serious they are about the investigation.
I'm shocked. I think I wasn't here at the time, but a drop in the ocean. Well, that's some competition there, because there's a statement that 27 is a drop in the ocean. There's 27 people killed, and then there's the other recent statement that Valivaria, Ratupasola, it's a fact of life.
Yeah, you have those kinds.
I think it was the foreign minister.
See, when you have
it seemed to be more like a fact of death rather than a fact of life. But Najib, this shows 2 or 3 very important things. One, callousness, lack of basic human sensitivity, sympathy, and empathy. I mean, first off, you have to be a human being, and you have to feel for other people. There's another a classic to add to your collection, the photographs of what almost certainly is Prabhakaran's son, the kid who was killed. I won't go into what happened. I don't know what happened. But what I don't like is the fact that on the governmental side, nobody said, look, it's dreadful that somebody killed a kid. I mean, you can go on to say
they did challenge the authenticity of the photographs.
Well, yes, they did say that these are clean sandbags or bunkers, and there were no clean looking bunkers at the front lines of the Sri Lankan army, and they said that this was probably done by Prabhakaran's bodyguards. Now, how would Prabhakaran have clean bunkers where he was and his bodyguards? I mean, the same thing goes. You see, when you say something, when you're a representative of the government, and since I've been one, I know, you must have credibility. You can't be the only one who believes your own propaganda. Sometimes, not even your own side believes your own propaganda. So, when you say something, and especially to the outside world, in the Human Rights Council, I mean, before international audiences, you must not say something that, sounds really crass. So you say that, and then you don't say, look, it's tragic that a kid was killed. And you start with that. Whoever the child was, a child is dead, probably has been killed. Now, even if it's not Prabhakaran's son, who cares? It's a 12-year-old boy who's been killed. Exactly. You start with that. And then if you want to say, look, we are not sure whether this is Prabhakaran's son, or we sure didn't do it, I mean, that's all okay. So what you're talking about, all the other examples, drop in the ocean, my example fact of life, this all speaks to a certain mentality, a mentality of callousness.
Dr. Jati, you were representative of this government for a very long time in Geneva and in France.
Yeah.
Was this callousness that you speak of with regard to the way that statements are being made about the unrest in Valivarium, was it prevalent during that time as well?